So I'm going to be showing you two different keto snack recipes. The first one is peanut butter balls. So you're just going to take 2 cups of almond flour. I bought this from my local grocery store. Then you're going to add 4 teaspoons of a sweetener. I use stevia. And you're just going to go ahead and put that into the mix. The really cool thing about this specific recipe is it's a no-bake recipe, so you don't have to even turn on your oven. And the final third ingredient is going to be peanut butter. So you're just going to add 2 big tablespoons. I did find that I had to go back and add a little bit more peanut butter because when you're mixing it, if it's not wet enough to clump up, then you might want to add a little bit more. But really, this recipe is up to your discretion, and you can add more, take away some, whatever just works for you. So I went ahead and I just used a mixer to just mix it all together and try to get the consistency that I wanted. I wanted it to be more of like a dough-like feeling. So I just kept mixing, and that's when I decided that I needed to add a little bit more peanut butter. So I went ahead and added 1 more tablespoon of that and just mixed it all together to get the consistency I wanted. Once that was all done, I went ahead and I formed a big ball of dough with it, and I just put this dough in the fridge for about 2 hours. And after 2 hours, I take it out so it has a nice consistency. It's really important that you work fast though at this point because the more you play with the dough ball, the more that it gets melted and soft. And you want to make sure that it stays in a very circular consistency because that's what's going to taste the best. So I'm just going to go ahead here and make as many balls as I can make. It makes about a total of 9 for my specific recipe. And then you can put this in the fridge, and you can store it in the fridge for up to 7 days or up to 2 months in the freezer. And it makes a very easy, quick grab snack. And it also has a very sweet flavor, which is nice because with keto you don't always have anything sweet. So it's a little bit different than the kind of keto snacks that you're going to be munching on. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my airtight container and just put this away. The next recipe that I have is squash chips. They're very similar to zucchini chips, but they're a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and preheat the oven to 225 degrees, and I'm going to wash my squash. So it's really important to wash it so that all the dirt is gone. Now the next part's super, super important. You're going to want to make sure that when you're cutting the squash that you try to make sure the pieces are as even as possible. If they're not even in the width, then it's going to cook unevenly as well. So the next thing that I'm doing is taking a paper towel and I'm just lining up all of the squash on the paper towel. I'm going to take another sheet of paper towel and just gently press against it to get all of the moisture out. This just helps when it's cooking in the oven. It helps just cook it more consistently. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this off of the paper towel. My next step is to get the olive oil prepared. So I'm going to take a bowl and just put 2 tablespoons of olive oil into the bowl. And I'm going to take a parchment paper lined cookie sheet and lay out all of my squash. Once I'm done laying out all of the squash, I'm going to go ahead and take my brush and I'm going to lightly coat each of my squash with some of the olive oil. This just helps it in the oven cook a little bit better. And I'm just going to make sure to put a little bit. My next step is going to take some salt, and you can put as much salt as you'd like, but I wouldn't recommend putting too much. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my squash into the oven. And I'm going to set the timer for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Another great way you can cook the squash is by putting it into an air fryer set to 350 degrees. It's a very similar concept. You're going to go ahead and line the whole bottom with the squash, and then you're going to occasionally check on it and just flip it around. It is going to cook a lot faster in the air fryer, so I do recommend checking it every 10 minutes because you don't want them to get too burnt. Another difference is that you're not going to actually put any olive oil onto your squash when you put it into the air fryer because the air fryer cooks with air, not with any oil. So just remember that when you're cooking it like this. Now I did actually forget to record taking it out of the oven and taking it out of the air fryer, so I'm going to insert a picture of what it looks like once you're all done.